So, Amy, you and I have reinvented ourselves.
Yes.
And in the past 14 years, we have both gone from working for somebody else to figuring out how to launch our own business. And I'm going to get to your story in a minute, but I want to put something into context for everybody. Guys, I first started making money online 5 years ago.
5 years ago. That was like yesterday.
And I was 49 years old, Amy.
Okay, I love to hear this.
If this old dog can figure out how this internet thing works and how to like march toward my curiosity about it and how to learn this stuff.
Yes.
I mean, there are people, everybody out there who are way stupider than you, making way more money than you because they stopped and they paid attention to what we're about to tell you today. You can do this. And Amy is living proof. She has taught 50,000 students, more than 50,000 students, how to take even, like you even start with people who are like, I have no idea what I want to do.
Absolutely no idea. Yes.
That's
and
crazy
they
to me.
figure it out and create incredible businesses. They blow their own minds.
Without any business experience.
Absolutely.
And why did you want to help people do this? And what do you want the person listening right now as they're driving to a job that they hate, or they're taking a walk in a neighborhood that they wish they didn't live in, or they are unemployed, they've been laid off, they're beating themselves up. What do you want to tell them they are going to get out of this conversation today?
I want them to know that there's an entirely new world waiting for them. They don't even know what's possible yet for their future. And it's not inside a cubicle or commuting to a 9-to-5 job. There's a whole other world out there that you can take as your own. And the reason I know that is because that is my own story 14 years ago. So because it was a new world to me and I ran with it, now I help other people do the same.
Okay, so you've got a world-class expert here that has held the hands of 50,000 people, and these 50,000 plus students that she has taught everybody. They are no more smarter than you. They are no more qualified than you. They simply were in the position that you're in right now, where they bumped into this conversation and it had them experience a whole different possibility for their life.
Yes.
And that's my mission. My mission is to wake your ass up. My mission is to have you flush that stupid shit you're telling yourself that you're too young. Oh, I'm just great. I don't have anything to offer anybody. How can I make money online? Bullshit. You're actually tech native. Of course you could do this if you change your mindset. Oh, but Mel, I'm not 49. I'm 60. How am I going to do this? You're going to do this by stopping that bullshit that's spewing out of your mouth and getting serious about listening to two women. She has made $85 million in the past 14 years teaching people how to do this. And you want to know why I'm saying that number? Because I'm damn proud of her. And I also think if you put your head down and you listen to what some expert like Amy is about to tell you, and you pick up her book and you read the blueprint, you can figure this out too. This is about teaching yourself something new. It's about telling yourself something different. And that's what we're going to do. Hey, it's Mel. And I wanted to interrupt that video because I know that you're here on YouTube seeking empowerment and inspiration and motivation to change your life. And I'm sure at some point you've thought, my gosh, I would love to have Mel Robbins coach me. Well, now's your chance. The only coaching program that I offer is called Launch. It is open for enrollment right now. It is time to take all of this amazing stuff that you're learning on YouTube and actually apply it to your life inside of a structure that holds you accountable with a coach that you know and love who will push you, who will empower you, and who will hold your feet to the fire so that you can launch. That's exactly what this is. Science-backed, actionable coaching program with yours truly. All the information is on the link below, or go to melrobbins.com/launch. Registration is open. Do not delay. 54321. Get off of YouTube and get this stuff working in your life. Back to the video. What do you really want? That's a huge question. And I want you to contemplate that. What do you really want?
And here's the secret. You start with the life you want. So when I teach people how to go out and build their own business, I always say, first of all, let's talk about what lifestyle you want. Because when I was in my 9-to-5 job, one night I was rushing home to make dinner on time. I wanted to be home with my family, to sit at the table and have dinner, and I was running late. I stayed in a meeting late. I had some things to get done. It was now like 6:30. I knew it was going to be too late, but I was bound and determined to get home. So I was racing to get home and got pulled over. And this female cop came up to my car, and already I felt flush in the face. Like I was just so upset. Now I'm getting pulled over. And she says, ma'am, why are you driving so fast? And I looked at her and I said, I'm trying to get home to dinner with my family because I haven't been home all week and I don't want to miss another chance to be with my family. And she said, go. Just go. And it's like she understood that when you are in a 9-to-5 job that you no longer want, everything else seems to fall by the wayside. Like you're not living the life that you want. So that was just one moment. Like I wanted to be home with my family. I wanted to actually make more money so I could invest in things that I wanted to invest in. There was so much that I didn't have that I wanted that I kind of just started there. So you got to just ask yourself what kind of lifestyle you want and then build your career around that.
Well, I think a lot of people got a huge wake-up call these past 3 years.
Yes.
If the pandemic did nothing else, it certainly made you reflect on your values. It made you reflect on where you wanted to live. It made you reflect on what was important to you. And this mindless chasing of more, it became very clear for a lot of us that that is not the lifestyle that we want. You had a huge move. I had a huge move, all beginning with the question, what do I actually want my life to look like?
Yes.
All right. Well, I want you to pause right there because we're going to take a word from our sponsors. But when we come back, we're going to take a few more questions from listeners, and we're going to continue to hold your hand and walk you step by step through this process of starting to embrace the wake-up call, ask these big questions, and get freaking serious about your ability of making it happen. Welcome back. It's your friend Mel Robbins. I am here with Amy Porterfield, and we're asking the big questions today of you. What do you want your life to look like? How nice would it be if you had freedom? You were free to work when you wanted, where you wanted, that you took the time to design your life to work for you. And for those of you that have never thought about this before, you always thought, okay, I just got to get a job. I got to get a job. We're unpacking a concept called unbossing yourself, because I personally believe this is all mindset. It's all mindset. And you've got 2 strategies to unboss yourself. But before we get to those, I want to go back to the story, because you had this wake-up call. You're like, whatever these dudes are doing to make money online, I'm figuring this out.
Yeah.
Because I am not free if I work for somebody else. And I really see and have a taste of what they have. And now I want to figure it out. And so takeaway number 1, everybody, pay attention to the wake-up call. Takeaway number 2, yes, you can sort this stuff out. And takeaway number 3 is, what did you do next?
So that's when I started to think, what could I possibly do? How do I need to unboss myself? How do I need to think in order to step into what I want?
Got it.
So I really did start with my mindset. So this concept of unbossing, really understanding that you could lead yourself and you do not need anybody else to tell you what to do, make the decisions for you, or lead you. So once you start to think, okay, how can I lead myself? I had to take some steps to get me there. The first thing was, again, I talked about what do I want? And I went on social media and started following a bunch of people that had the kind of businesses that I wanted. Total immersion. I wanted, and you did an episode a while ago that you talked about when you, let's say, got a new car and you started to see that car everywhere.
Yes.
It's the same concept. When I decided I wanted to start my own business, I started to see bosses everywhere doing what I wanted, but I was intentional about it and I cleaned up my social media.
Okay, so takeaway number 1.
Yeah.
You have this wake-up call. What do you want your life to look like? Get serious about curating your social media right now so that you are immersed in the world that you want to step into. That is step 1. That is what a leader does. That's what you're going to do. We all have boards of advisors. We all call experts. Like I call Amy on speed dial when I need help with marketing. You're going to do social media, and you're going to use social media in a very intentional way to start to create that community and that mindset around you. What's the second thing you can do to change your mindset and unboss yourself?
Start asking for advice.
Okay.
Find the people who are doing what you want and find out how they did it. And I actually have a great story about this. Okay. So when I was still at Tony Robbins, I knew I wanted to create courses and help people do their marketing and build businesses down the road. I wasn't ready for it yet, but I knew I wanted that kind of business. So I went online and I found a bunch of people doing what I wanted. And there was this one woman who absolutely had the kind of business I wanted. I did not know her at all, but I watched her online and I thought, that's the kind of business I want. So I went to her contact page on her website, wrote her a little email and said, listen, I know you don't offer this, but can I pay you for an hour of your time? I just want to ask you all about how you built your business. I'm new to all of this. I don't even know where to start. Will you share some insight with me if I pay you? And she said yes.
Wow.
Yep. So you got to ask.
You got to ask. And here's another way you can do it, because you're probably sitting there. Notice you have a employee mindset.
Yes.
We're like, but I don't have any money to pay. Amy's got money because she works for Tony Robbins.
No, 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 no. That is not the mindset. You are not a loser. You're a winner. All of these people that you follow have likely done a podcast interview or a YouTube video, or they've written a blog post.
Yes.
And all the advice is in there. And another way that you can get people to respond to you is you can present them with some challenge that you're facing and say, could you give me, like, I need some help making a decision. I'm facing this challenge. Here are 2 or 3 things that I'm thinking about doing. Which would you advise? Because then you've done the work. You've thought like a boss. You haven't come to somebody to solve your problems. So that's another way that even if you're working for somebody else, unbossing yourself is a mentality. Don't expect your boss to solve your problems. It's not their job to solve your problems. It's your job to come up with the solutions to recommend for the problems that you're facing in whatever your role is. And so that's a way that you can take this philosophy into your current job while you figure out what you want to do.
Yes.
So you stuck with this job and you chipped away at the job while you changed social media.
Yes.
And you started asking people for advice. You started chipping away at learning things. What else did you do in order to kind of step by step march toward building something you had no freaking skill or experience to do?
Yes, I had to get unreasonable. And by the word unreasonable, I mean, I had to start thinking in ways that I had never done before. And so like with the call with that woman that said yes, like I was still at my office. I had to crawl under my desk because the walls were thin. I didn't want anyone to hear me at my lunch hour. I'm whispering to her on the phone, like, how did you build your business? What did you do? And she's whispering back to me. And I'm sure she thinks that's weird that we're whispering, but I needed to make it happen. So I had to start putting myself in places that I was way out of my element because I wanted something bigger than my life at the moment.
Now, how do you keep that present? Because I think this is what separates people in life.
Yes.
We all want it. Who doesn't want to make $1 million? Who doesn't want freedom? Who doesn't want, to figure out how to make money online and check their balances while they're sitting on the toilet? I mean, who doesn't want to make money while they're sleeping? But what separates those of us who do and anybody who doesn't is literally the action. That's it. That is it. Like if you're willing to go one step further than the person that just quit, you, my friend, have the secret formula. There is no fucking secret formula.
Yes.
You have to stop listening to the bullshit that is stopping you from taking action. I mean, this woman is sitting under her desk. I'm literally at an event I'm not supposed to be at because we wanted something more for ourselves. What did you do to keep that freedom, which is this big ass word? What did you do to keep that front and center other than having your social media feeds reminding you that this is the world you wanted to step into? It's sort of like a kid who decides, okay, I'm going to go to I'm going to go to this college. And they're really into, the first one that popped into mind is Michigan. I'm from Michigan. Everybody loves either Michigan State or Big Blue. And so kids would wear the sweatshirts and they'd look at the school and they'd follow people and they'd buy the swag and they'd been wearing it all over. And so they're like immersing themselves in this world before they're there. How the hell do you do this for yourself?
Yes.
When it's about a side hustle or who you want to become? Because you're talking like recreate your whole damn life. Like stop getting a job and get serious about what you want your life to look like.
So I started to change my identity. I'm going to be a business owner. I'm going to be a boss. What do bosses do? They listen to podcasts about building businesses. They buy the books about how to change your mindset, how to start a business, how to get things going. They buy the digital courses. I'd never bought a digital course in my life. I bought my first digital course while I was still at my 9-to-5 job. It was all about how to do video marketing. I had no idea how to make a video.
Can I give everybody a pro tip?
Yes.
A lot of companies, as a perk, give a login to Masterclass and some of these
There you
other
go.
places. And so
Yes.
you can be...
Use it.
Yeah, there is so much free education. You're hearing Amy go buy. Khan Academy, YouTube, all this stuff is free, everybody.
That's so
you
true.
got to be willing to look for it. If you've gotten laid off, the Harvard Extension School has free resume templates if you're willing to freaking Google it. So, we have to get out of this mode of stuff's being done to you and, damn that job and I'm embarrassed. Bullshit. That job was not a fit. And you want why? You want to know why it wasn't a fit? Because you got fired. Because you got laid off. And yes, it sucks. But you get to decide now what it means. Are you going to pivot? And are you going to take this as a wake-up call? Or are you going to sit there and feel sorry for yourself?
It's so true. So yes, get resourceful. You don't have to pay for any of this. There's tons of free resources out there, even more so now than there were when I even left. But I started to, again, total immersion, fuel my mind with the right things. But here's another thing I did. I started a side hustle. And I think this is an important conversation for people right now. If you're afraid of getting fired, laid off, or you're just not making enough money, a lot of people listening, they think they're staying in their 9-to-5 job, but they know they're not getting paid enough. They know they're undervalued. So the best next thing you can do is start your own thing in the mornings, nights, weekends to bring in a little extra money. Let me tell you about a student of mine.
Give me some examples.
So one of my students, her name was Rachel. She was a pharmacist, and she did this job as a pharmacist because her parents wanted her to have that job. It looked good. It sounded good. And here she is as a pharmacist during COVID and hates every minute of it. Like, her life was miserable, what she went through. And so on the side, she decided, I'm going to learn how to buy real estate. She didn't have a lot of money, but she said, I'm going to learn how to just buy a little bit of real estate and turn it into an Airbnb and see if I can make a little extra money doing that. So she researched, she started saving, she bought her first piece of real estate, and it did really well. And she told her husband, one day I want this to be my full-time thing. And he laughed at her like, no, you're a pharmacist. You're not going to do that. But she kept at it and she kept at it. She made $300,000 last year when she figured out how to get this real estate and get the money to invest and all of that. Quit her pharmacy job and never has looked back.
So is this somebody with a trust fund?
No, not at all. Like, this woman was scrappy. Let me tell you another story of someone who didn't have a lot of money. Okay. Because I know some people.
Because most people don't have a lot of money. Like, most people are paycheck to paycheck. Most people are like, that sounds great, but I got no money for a course. I'm definitely going to pick up the book 2 weeks notice that you just wrote, Amy, for the step-by-step guide, but I don't have buy real estate. What are you talking about?
Okay. Let me give you a better one. So this one is from my student, Tara, and she was an accountant for 15 years in a very small town. And she's a single mom. And she said, I need a raise. I'm not making enough money. She went to the company and said, I'd like a raise. And they looked at her with blank stares, like, that's not even in your future at all. And she realized, I've got to do something. So she was really good at making wreaths. She made these beautiful wreaths.
Wreaths?
Yes.
Like, you mean those round things that we hang on our doors?
Yes.
Okay, so she's really good at wreaths. So I want to go back to something. Remember how Amy said you got to go through the sweet spot exercise. By the way, tons of resources linked all in the show notes on every single platform.
Yes.
But I want you to hear this. This is a person who has been told by people forever that she does a good job making wreaths.
Yes.
I know what you're thinking, everybody. You're thinking, Mel, I have a mortgage to pay. Mel, I have student debt. Mel, I am not starting a fucking business making wreaths because I will not be able to pay my bills doing this. Here's what I want to tell you. You have no clue what you're capable of. But what you're capable of right now is shooting down every single idea. You're putting all your energy into coming up with reasons for why not, why it's stupid, why you can't. What if you put half the amount of energy into why the fuck not?
Yeah.
Why not make wreaths? Why not see where this goes? Why not, instead of flopping down in front of Netflix tonight because my soul is sucked dry from my job search or my job that I go to or worrying about why not invest that same time that I procrastinate at night into creating a little bit of a side hustle, tasting a little bit of freedom, saying yes in a little way. Why not?
Just to start her idea.
That's all she had. That's all she had.
Yes. So she wasn't saying, I'm going to quit my job tomorrow because I'm making wreaths. She just thought, I got to bring in some extra money. I better get scrappy.
Yes.
So she started making these wreaths, selling them on Etsy, and she was doing really well, bringing in like $1,000 a month extra.
That's pretty good.
Right?
That's like take the kids to Disney money.
Exactly.
That's pay the bills money.
She's like feeling a little bit. That's another thing. You start to feel a little confident when you start to take some action and get some clarity, like this is actually working. So what happened was her friends started seeing her make money on Etsy, and they were making crafts and they weren't making any money on Etsy. And they said, teach us how you're doing that. That's what I want to know. And that's where it started to click for her. Her starter idea was not going to pay the bills. However, she took action, got some clarity, started to listen to what people were saying, and they said, teach us how you're doing that. So she created a little mini course teaching other people how to put their crafts online and make money with Etsy. $100,000 later, this woman never in a million years thought she'd make $100,000 teaching other women how to put their crafts on Etsy.
So how long of a period of time from the idea of, I could, because first it becomes, I want everybody to pay attention because I'm trying to open your eyes to the fact that your whole life can change because of one wake-up moment and the willingness to lean into something that you naturally do well or you're naturally interested in. I'm going to put an example into this in just a minute. But this willingness to lean into what you're naturally good at and other people compliment you on. I've never thought about it this way. Not so that it pays your mortgage, but so that it gives you a taste of freedom. And it taps into this power and resourcefulness and moxie that is inside you.
Yes.
Because when you start feeling that, you'll start thinking even bigger. And so, I'm thinking about this because, and I'm going to offer up an example, because it literally could be anything. I think about my daughter, Sawyer, who constantly is complimented for her interior decorating style and skills. No training. And I keep thinking to myself, boy, she could do a whole Instagram strategy of designing on a budget. She could do a whole thing about how you design a killer dorm room for X number of dollars, or how you design your first apartment. I'm thinking about another kid. I have a neighbor whose son, senior year of high school, no joke, made almost $30,000. You want to know how?
How?
I'll tell you how. He saw one video. He Googled how to make money online. One video of this business where you advertise a service of picking up people's stuff, like couches they don't want, and then you list it for sale on Facebook Marketplace and you deliver it to somebody else.
Brilliant. And scrappy. I like scrappy ideas.
And so I'm not suggesting you'll make millions. Maybe you will, because maybe you'll turn it into a junk removal business. Maybe you'll turn it into something else, but you are limiting what's possible. Because you won't even lean into something like the wreath idea or the idea of starting an Instagram account that is about decorating on a budget, because you tell yourself it's not possible. I can't do it. Somebody else has already done it. Do you have another example of somebody who just was either really old or really young that did this?
Yes, I have a great story. One of my favorite students, her name is Anne. And Anne worked in corporate at Gap and Old Navy. She was in her 50s at the time, and she got laid off, which tends to be a theme we're hearing a lot. So she's laid off, and she thinks, okay, well, I've been in this business for a while. I'm going to dust off my resume, get it back out there. So she did. Months and months and months, couldn't even get an interview. Oh. And I hate to say this, but I think it was her age.
Probably.
Right? People are hiring younger, so they're just looking over her and all of her experience that she had. And so one day her husband said, you've got all of these different crafts up in our attic. You love to do these. Why don't you just play around there for a while, see if it sparks anything? And so she didn't have any other option at the time, so she started to kind of get in there. And she does this one thing really well, surface pattern design.
What the hell is that?
Right. I'm not crafty at all, so I really had to kind of dig in to understand it. Basically, it's this idea of drawing your own doodles and different graphics on, let's say, through a software, and turning those drawings of yours into wallpaper, into wrapping paper, into mugs, into journals. Yes.
Okay.
And so she did this really well. And yet again, people started to say, how are you doing that? That's why when you think of the sweet spot formula, the first thing you do is pay attention to what people think you're good at, because it's just a natural thing. They're interested. And so she did it well. Other people wanted to know how she did it. So she started to teach them how she did it. Now, this woman went from literally not getting anyone that wanted to hire her, not even getting interviews, to doing launches of this new program she created, $100,000 launches over and over again. But I want to point out, she's in her 60s.
Wait, okay.
Yes.
You buried the lead,
yes.
Amy.
She's in her 60s. Didn't know how to run a business, didn't know how to do technology, didn't know how to put up a website, didn't know how to do a webinar. She knew none of it. But what she did know is she wanted a different kind of life, and she got honest with herself. I don't want to be begging for a job. They think I'm too old. Watch me.
Ooh,
and
I love
that's
that.
What
Watch
I
me.
want. Yeah.
Watch me do this damn thing. I cannot wait to send this episode to my kids. Can you tell me about someone on the younger side that went from nothing, telling themselves, no skills, too young, I can't do this, missed the boat, there's already too many people doing fitness online or whatever the hell it is that you want to do, too many interior designers, no room for me. Tell me about somebody on the younger end of the scale.
I will. And I want to say, if you're looking around and you think, I want to do this, and you see so many other people doing it, and they're doing it well.
Like podcasts with me.
Yes. The first thought is, there's no room for me.
Yes.
I can't do that. It's already been being done. First of all, there's over 8 billion people in this world. There's definitely an audience you can reach. But the second thing is, if it's being done and it's being done well, that means there's money to be made there, right? It's a validation. Look at it and think, oh, great. Mel's a great example that I can make money doing this. Let me try it as well.
Okay. Did you hear that, everybody?
It's important.
It's really important. Because somebody else doing this is a validation that there is a business and money. And more importantly, people want this.
Yes.
They want this in their lives. And so I want to also say something. There are 8 billion people, Amy. And oftentimes the expert that my kids like let's just take online exercise classes.
Yes.
I feel demoralized when I'm looking at a 28-year-old's rear end as she's doing like the donkey kicks and the hydrant thing. And I'm like, she hasn't had kids yet. I'm in menopause. I'm feeling like the stomach hanging down. This is not great. I want a different expert.
Yes.
I want what my daughters have in that market, but I want somebody that I feel represents me.
Yes.
And so you have a unique take on things. The 60-year-old woman that you talked about that launched her first online course, you know how empowering it is to see somebody teach you when you're in your 40s or 50s and they're older than you? Do you know how empowering it is when you see somebody that has your background, your religion, your skin color, your body type, your experience? You are most qualified to help the person you used to be.
Yes.
And you will most inspire the person who sees themselves in you and your story. And so there are people out there, like when I think about the podcast market, and I saw there are 5 million podcasts on Spotify, 5 million alone. I'm like, it's already taken. What more? What could I possibly contribute? I know that's what everybody's thinking right now. It's already been done. Bullshit. You want to know why? It hasn't been done by you.
Amen. That's it. It hasn't been done by you. You have lived experiences that nobody else has, and you have stories and insights that you share that nobody else will. And you only need a sliver of the internet to pay attention. That's the wild thing here. You don't need 100,000 customers to make money. A sliver of the internet. You get 10 customers. Let's say this, Mel. When I teach people how to create side hustles, let's say you have a $100 program and just 10 people buy that. You've just made $1,000 that you did not have. 10 people, that's all you need. So when you start to think this is too big, I'm too overwhelmed, I don't know where to start, you start with your starter idea and you just get into action.
You know, I want to give a huge shout out to my kid's guitar instructor, Dave Wade. So Dave Wade, he has made a huge difference in our life. And he, I was always barking about how he should do something more. He's a session musician, classical guitarist, plays on all these major stages, and he started a music school. in Boston in the basement of a church, and it's slowly grown. And by just paying attention to that wake-up call inside him, there's something more I could be doing. I could be reaching more kids. He figured out how to create an online course.
Yes.
And he launched it before COVID. So all of a sudden COVID hits, and he's done this thing simply as a side hustle to an existing business, a way to take something you're doing in real life and take that and put it online. And he was positioned for COVID. And now he does nothing but virtual lessons with students all over the world, and in person in Boston. But I mean, it just changed his life. Why? It's not because he's smarter than you. It's not because he has more skills than you. It's because he did one thing you're not doing. He's saying, what if it works out?
Yes.
What if I just take this kernel of an idea and I lean into it? And I don't do it overnight, but I start chipping away at it. Sure, look for a job. Sure, work on your resume. Don't forget the fact that 85% of jobs aren't even listed anywhere, and they're gotten by networking.
Yes.
So make sure you're out there talking to people. There's another free tip. I'm getting so many questions like this one from a listener named Sarah.
Hey Mel, it's Sarah. Can you talk about starting over at 40 and being terrified doing it? I turned 40 last year and my life is not okay. I've been in a toxic marriage for 11 years with a man who also has a lot of health problems. #guilt. I was laid off from a job I loved and I have gained a crazy amount of weight. That's just the icing on the cake. I don't even know where to start. I don't even know if I have ever been truly happy. I would love to hear your advice on this topic. I want the second act of my life to be amazing. Help me, Mel. Thank you.
All right, Sarah. First of all, thank you to Sarah for doing the work for all of us, because I swear to God, I am getting this question a bazillion times. And I want to say one thing out of the gate. Sarah said that she is terrified of starting over. First of all, everybody, you're never starting over. You're always starting from experience. This is so important for you to understand. Just because you got laid off, just because you've ended a relationship, you're not starting from scratch. You have all the experiences, good and bad, in your life that you can now use to reinvent and reimagine what the next chapter of your life looks like next. And I'm seeing the same question that Sarah's asking. I don't even know where to start, Mel. I know that I got to change things up. I know I got this flame inside me. I want to be happy. I deserve to be happy. I'm not even sure I even know what that means. I am seeing this question in so many forms, whether it's those of you in your 20s that are writing and you've graduated from college and you have no idea how to begin creating the next chapter of your life, or you're writing in at the age of 33. And like Sarah, you've been laid off from your job. In fact, it seems like everywhere I go, I don't know if this is happening to you, whether it's being on the set of a television show or giving a keynote presentation, at some point, everybody's kind of leaning over going, yeah, we just went through layoffs. So you're not alone. Or maybe you're on the other side of this. Because so many people got laid off, you actually have been promoted. But now you're freaking out because you feel like you're an imposter in this role and you're not capable of handling it. Or perhaps you're 55, seeing a lot of these kinds of questions. Mel, I am now an empty nester. I want this next chapter of my life to be incredible. And I'm starting to look at my spouse now that the kids are gone. And I'm like, oh, I don't know about this. Or maybe you just met the love of your life. And it's unbelievable. But you are worried, terrified, in fact, that you're going to screw it up. So I want to talk about Sarah's question globally, because she's not the only one who's feeling kind of scared about this notion of what this next chapter might be. She used the word terrified. You don't have to be terrified. This is one of the greatest opportunities of your life. So if you want to change, you either want to step into your power when good things are happening, or you want to just look out on the road ahead and create an exciting new possibility for yourself. You are listening to the exact thing that you need to hear, because that brings me to the overall topic today, and that is reinvention. Now, 90% of the questions that I'm getting right now are about the topic of reinvention. How do I reinvent myself? How do I reinvent my life? You may not be using that word. I mean, Sarah didn't, but that is exactly what you and I are going to talk about today. Because I want you to imagine a brand new possibility for your life. And if you, like Sarah, can say, I want to be happy. I want the next chapter of my life to be amazing. If you can just even start there, all you have to do is start to think about what kind of a map do you need in order to chart a course to make that possibility that you see for your life a reality. And I love this topic of reinvention. I love it, love it, love it, because I have this metaphor that I've been using for years when it comes to understanding reinvention. And what is the metaphor? The metaphor that I use is a road trip. That's right. Life is one big road trip. And we're going to use this metaphor of a road trip to demystify the entire concept and process of reinventing yourself or reinventing your life. And for those of you that have listened to my #1 ranked audio series on Audible called Reinvent Your Life, you have heard me talk about this metaphor. And this is such a powerful concept because the fact is, life is a journey. It's one big road trip. And for too many of us, that road trip is boring and monotonous. And I want to shake things up. I want your life to be the most exciting, exhilarating, amazing road trip that you could possibly imagine. And we're all on this big road trip. We all began at the exact same mile marker, 0. Every single year of your life is another mile marker on this twisting, amazing journey called life. For me, I'm at mile marker 54. That is how far down the road I am. And so I want you to stop and just think, okay, well, what mile marker am I at right now? And it's a useful exercise to think about it that way, because when I say to you, hey, I'm at mile marker 54, that tells me that there's a lot of road that I've covered behind me. But guess what? There is a huge open road ahead of me. And when you take responsibility for charting that course of where that open road is going to lead you, you take control of your life. That's what reinvention is all about. It's about creating a map, picking a destination, and charting your course on this road called life. And here's what's exciting about that. You get to choose. You get to choose how fast you're going to drive, whether you're going to take the highway, whether you're going to twist and turn, where you want to go next. And so Sarah's question was, Mel, where do I start? We're going to start by pulling over. And the reason why we're going to start by just mentally pulling over together for a second is because Sarah is literally describing her life as if she is driving through a hellish, heavy rainstorm with hail dropping down. I mean, between the toxic husband and the weight she's put on and getting laid off from her dream job, holy smokes, it's like raining sideways in your life right now, Sarah. But that's okay. That's okay. Because we know that the rain doesn't last forever. We know that on the road ahead, there are going to be sunny skies and there's going to be big fluffy clouds and all kinds of amazing views. And you can make it through this rainstorm. And so here's what we're going to do, though. You can't possibly assess where you're going until you pull over for a second and you reflect on where you're at right now. And more importantly, where do you want to go next? I mean, think about the last time you got lost. When you get lost, does driving around help you find yourself? No. You got to pull over. You got to figure out where you are. You got to consult the mile marker. You got to look for landmarks. And then you got to figure out, okay, where am I going next? And so pulling over is a mental strategy. Visualize yourself right now, just pulling off the road of life onto the side for a second, because by pulling over for just a second, you're acknowledging what Sarah's saying. You're going to hit the pause button on your life as it is right now, and we're going to take a second to collect ourselves, and then we're going to figure out the destination, and where we want to go next. And that brings me to the next step of reinventing your life. And I'm going to go to a question from a listener who has pulled over. She is reflecting on where she's at right now. Sounds like she's got a flat tire, not real happy. So let's hear this question.
Hi, Mel. It's Jen. I'm struggling going through a breakup, and it's hard because I thought I found the person that I was going to spend the rest of my life with. I was very happy, and I guess I thought I found my person, but this breakup is just affecting me with work, and it's just a struggle. It's just a daily struggle to get up and a daily struggle to get dressed. I would just love some advice.
Thank you for being so honest about what you're dealing with. And what you're dealing with right now is a detour on the road trip called life. That is what this is. And all detours in life, whether it is a breakup or it's the death of somebody that you love or losing a job or just anything that happens that can happen in life, just anything that happens that takes you off the route that you thought you were going to go down. And in those moments, it is important to pull over. It is important to feel sad and to let those emotions rise up. But you can't stay in that place. You can't allow it. You know, if you get a flat tire, if you get into an accident, what do? You pull over, you fix the car, and you move forward. And that's what you have to do now. You have spent enough time being sad. You have spent enough time lamenting what happened. You have spent enough time looking in the rearview mirror at this relationship. If you're somebody that is looking backwards, you're looking at the past, you're looking at the road behind you, and you're spending way too much of your time and your energy wishing things were different, feeling sad about the miles that you've already been down and that you wish you had done something different. You wish you would have ended up. You wish that here at 24, you would have majored in a different thing because whatever it is that you're doing that involves the rearview mirror, stop. Because you're not going that way. Think about the road trip analogy. Does a car on a road trip drive forward down the road? Or do you go on a road trip by driving backwards? Are you getting my point? There's a reason why the windshield in a car is so much bigger than the rearview mirror. You're not going backwards. And you can't drive forward if you're always staring in the rearview mirror. And so you did the right thing by feeling sad. You did the right thing by pulling over. But now it's time for you to look out the windshield and look at the road ahead. And here's what I want you to do. As you're pulled over on this mile marker with me, again, I'm at 54. Just think to yourself, what mile marker are you at? There's a lot of us that assess where we're at and we start to judge ourselves. Like, oh, I should have done this by now. I wish I had it all figured out. I should have been with the love of my life. I thought this was going to work out. Stop and look at the open road. Allow yourself to entertain this incredible idea that the happiest, most fulfilled version of you is on the road ahead. Imagine if this detour that you've been forced to take is the best thing that ever happened to you. Why? It's about alignment. Your life is always trying to take you on the unique path that is aligned with you and what's meant for you. And when you allow yourself to believe that this is happening for a reason, that this heartache, that this breakup, that this person that was in my life, and now life is handing me this detour, that this was meant to be because it is preparing me for something better that's coming. You have to start to cultivate that. Because if you don't have that kind of attitude as you are charting the next course, the next chapter, the next leg of your journey, you're going to be gripping that wheel. You're going to be looking in the rearview mirror, and you are going to go nowhere fast. I know it doesn't feel good to not be able to get out of bed. It doesn't feel good to be sad. And the reason why you're feeling those things is because you believe that what's meant for you is behind you. It's not true. You got to 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, force yourself out of that bed. You have to 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, push yourself out that door, get yourself dressed, and start walking forward. That's what you have to do. Imagine if this detour that just happened, somebody that you're in love with broke up with you. That sucks. There's no way around it. It totally sucks. Just like getting a flat tire sucks. So what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? Well, I'll tell you what I don't want you to do, because this is why you can't get out of bed. You are telling yourself that this happened because there's something wrong with you. You're telling yourself that this happened because you're not worthy, because you're not good enough. And that is complete bullshit. You want to know why this happened? Let's go back to our road trip. This happened because every single one of us has a completely unique and deeply personal journey that we take on this thing called life. And I choose to believe that whatever detour hits you, it is aligned with what's meant for you. I also deeply believe that the best years of my life are on the road ahead. If you can embrace those two truths, that every detour in life that does not go according to plan, it's not what you wanted. And there have been so many detours in my life that have been painful, but I can see now how they were aligned with pushing me in the direction I needed to go, giving me the lessons that were aligned with my purpose or the things that I needed to learn in order to make the years ahead even better, even happier, even more purposeful. You have to tell yourself that, because what's the alternative? The alternative is you feeling like a victim. You feeling as though, you're never good enough. Nothing's ever going to work out. Bullshit. This detour is not something you wanted. This detour is going to open you up to something that you needed. I swear to God, when you start to think like that, when you grab the wheel of your life, when you take responsibility, not for the detour, but for how you're going to navigate what happens next, that's when you tap into your power, and you can do that. This isn't about some guy breaking your heart. This is about you discovering how to love yourself. So here's what I want you to do. Clearly, you believe that finding your person is something that you need to do. So on a piece of paper, write down all the things that this person does for you. How do they make you feel? What are some of the things that they do for you? The kind of person that you're going to fall madly, deeply in love with. Now, all those things that you write down, do them for yourself. That is what this detour is trying to teach you. That the one person that you need to truly love and truly be in a relationship with, your person, so to speak. You already found that person, and it's you. And so I think that this detour is giving you the detour you needed, the breakdown you needed, so that you could strengthen your relationship with yourself. That's why this happened. And you can think the years ahead, Mel Robbins, the years ahead, these are going to be the best, most loving, happiest years of my life. You, my friend, reinvent everything. All right, so today's my 52nd birthday. And normally on my birthday, I wake up excited because I feel like I've just been handed a clean slate and the opportunity to create a brand new year. And I spend the day reflecting on the last couple of years, and I spend the day brainstorming about what I want to create this year. And this year is not a normal year. I did not wake up feeling excited. I woke up feeling lost. because as I thought back over the last few years, it's been an incredible adventure, but I've experienced a tremendous amount of change in my professional and personal life that has just knocked me on my knees. From losing my daytime talk show, to having my book contract rescinded, to having the speaking business basically implode until at least another year from now, to not being able to be with you face to face, to not being able to work with my team face to face. I just got rocked. And then on top of it, our son wanted to go to high school in Vermont. And so we are in the process of moving from the home that we've been in for over 20 years and raised our kids up to a very small town in southern Vermont where I know very few people and I feel very disconnected. And the result of all this is I feel stuck in between two lives. My old life, which has ended, and a new life that I have yet to create for myself. And when I look ahead to the future, I feel overwhelmed. I feel lost. I feel disconnected. In some ways, I feel like I don't even know who I am because I feel so disconnected from the things that make me feel alive and happy.
Oh my God. I was really lost. I mean, just hearing 52-year-old me sound like that, so sad, it just puts a pit in my stomach. Oh my God. And look, I can kind of laugh about it now because I'm on the other side of this thing. But when you're in it, it can be overwhelming. If I could go back in time and talk to the 52-year-old me, here's what I would do. I would say, first of all, that's a lot. You should have a good cry. Then I would give Mel a big, huge hug. Because in moments like that, we need reassurance. But then comes a tough love. I'd be like, look, Mel, you got to remember who you are. You can face this. And then I would drop this quote on her. Hey, woman, if you want to fly, you got to give up the shit that weighs you down. Toni Morrison said that, and boy, ain't that the truth. You got to give up the shit that weighs you down. And a lot of times, at least with me, what's weighing me down, it's my own attitude. And I know you can relate to that. I just hate that saying. It is what it is. No, it isn't. It is what you make it to be. The fact is, there is always something you can do to make yourself feel just a little bit better. And when you do something that makes you feel a little better, no matter what's going on, that boost in your mood, that boost in your attitude, it is essential to helping you face any challenge and improve any situation. And even though in that video I felt lost, there were 3 things that I did and that I continued to do over the past 2 years and that I continue to do now, all of which is rooted in research to pick myself back up and face the mess that my life had become. And more importantly, to start doing the work to create the life I wanted. I believe that you are capable of changing. I do. I've just seen too much evidence over the course of my career. Amazing changes that people just like you and me have made. So I know you're thinking, well, this is great, Mel, but where do I begin? So step number 1, you begin by making a wish. Just like that moment on your birthday when you close your eyes and wish for something to come true in this next year of your life. Right now, do the same. Close your eyes and think about the next year of your life. What do you want the next year of your life to look like? Begin by making a wish. That's how I began 2 years ago. Yep, my business was upside down, kids were in shambles, my husband was struggling with depression, and I was struggling with everything. I had to create a break from that moment of pain and allow myself to see something different. At the time, I had no idea what the new chapter of my life would be or could be. Here's what I did know. I don't want to stay in this one. And that's all you need to know. All you need to know is you don't want to stay in the place that you're in right now. That right there is a wish for something better. If you know what you don't want, it's very easy to change. As soon as you start removing or letting go of things that aren't working, you'll see all new possibilities. So let's go back to that video that I made on my 52nd birthday, because once I laid it all out there, I instinctually laid out the 3 steps I was going to take. I made a wish. I identified some things that I could do that would make me feel a little better. And I also changed my attitude. And if I can do it, so can you. So let's go back to the rest of that video from my 52nd birthday. And you're about to hear 52-year-old Mel wipe away the tears and start taking action. Here are the steps I'm going to take. Number 1, self-awareness is critical. So recognizing that you feel lost or disconnected or suspended between your old life and your new life, overwhelmed, whatever you feel, it's so important to name it. Because when you name it, you bring it out of the feeling in your body and out into the world, and then you can do things to tame that feeling. Number 2, the most important thing that you should do is move your body, because all this negative emotion is trapped in your body right now, and it's only through exercise and motion that you'll move it out of your body and you'll change your emotional state. So I am going to go put on an exercise tape and work up a sweat. Will that solve all my problems? No. But it will put me in a better emotional state so that I can think more clearly and more optimistically and start to see solutions. Number 3, the best advice about happiness is happy people do things that make them happy. And so after you move your body and you change your emotional state, do one thing that makes you happy. And for me, I'm going to go out and buy myself some beautiful flowers. I've been doing a lot of writing this morning, just dumping all my thoughts onto paper. And I think journaling out your thoughts is a really important thing to do when you feel stuck or overwhelmed or suspended. And then finally, continue to remind yourself that this is temporary. This is temporary. This moment is temporary. These feelings are temporary. This feeling of stuckness and overwhelm is temporary. Oh, woo. Oh. Those sneezes are temporary. And I think the biggest thing about that mantra, that this is temporary, is so is your life. And maybe that's why birthdays are overwhelming, because they always make you think about the timeline of your life. And so after you become self-aware and you move your body, which moves your emotions, and you do something simple that makes you happy, and you dump all your thoughts on a piece of paper, remind yourself that this is temporary and force yourself to start dreaming again. Because when you give up on your dreams, you give up on yourself. And I think that's one of the reasons why I woke up feeling lost today. When I look ahead, I don't see anything I'm looking forward to, because I haven't created something new to look forward to. And that's the secret. How you're feeling right now is a function of what you see in the future. And if you see overwhelm and a blank page and nothingness, that's how you're going to feel right now. And so I want you to dream big. I want you to put something on that paper that's out in that future, that calls to you, that gives you something to look forward to go for. That's how you will pull yourself out of it. And that's how I'm going to pull myself out of this too. So that's my birthday message. Not really inspiring. It's authentic and it's real, because this is where I am right now. And I also know that despite how low I feel, I have a choice. I have a choice about what I do about it. I have a choice about who I'm going to be in the face of it. And I have a choice about what comes next. So by God, I'm going to 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, push myself to create a future that really empowers me. And I want you to do the same too. If you could do anything for me for my birthday, it would be for you to dream really big today. That would mean everything to me. I love you. Way to go, 52-year-old me. Mel, if you could only see where you end up 2 years later, you'd be so proud of yourself, woman. And you know what? When you follow these same 3 simple steps, you're going to be proud of yourself too. And I want to make sure you're not just listening along or watching this podcast episode on YouTube. I want to make sure you're able to apply these 3 takeaways and what you're learning in this episode to your own life right now. So let's recap what you've learned so far.
You've learned about the fresh start effect and how temporal landmarks can trigger a whole new chapter in your life and unlock the intrinsic motivation that's inside you that's going to help you take action. Let's create your fresh start right now. Step 1. You already heard this. Make a wish. Just ask yourself one powerful question. What do I want the next year of my life to look like? Number 2, no matter how you feel, start taking the actions that align with what you want in your life. Stop making the mistake of waiting to feel happy or motivated before you take action. The secret, it's taking action first, because if you can get moving, you can keep moving. And research shows that just a little boost in your mood impacts your productivity for the rest of the day. It impacts your focus. It gives you a little uptick in energy. Taking actions that align with the bigger vision and the future you, it taps into this huge body of research called behavioral activation therapy. Now, you're going to learn a tremendous amount about this therapy modality in future episodes of the Mel Robbins podcast, but here's how I'd summarize it for you. Act like the person you want to become in the future, no matter how you feel in the present moment. Look, I know it sounds simple. Act like the future you. But this is grounded in decades of research, and it works. This is how I've made every single change in my life. Once I figure out what I want to do or the kind of person I want to become, I figure out someone else in the world that's doing it, and I just reverse engineer it. And that's how you create a brick path that leads from where you are right now to where that wish of yours wants to take you. And every morning, wake up, take one action that aligns with what you want or the person that you want to become. And you can consider that action, it represents one brick. And if you keep doing that day by day, brick by brick, action by action, you're going to look up a year from now and you'll realize, oh my God, I just paved a brick path leading to my dreams. What the heck? Mel was right. And step number 3, in making powerful change in your life, find the proof that you can do it. It's all around you. You just need to look for it. Find anyone that has the life that you want or that has made the change that you want to make. The relationship, the career, the body, the family, the friend group. Anytime you see someone who has already made the change you want to make in your life, tell yourself, there's proof. It exists. Use people as evidence that, yes, you can have what you wish for too, if you're willing to work for it. See people as a light on the path to your future self. For years, that was not me. I was the opposite. I did not see other people as lights on my path. I saw people as robbing me of the lights that I wanted. I had this really stingy, jealous, and insecure attitude. If a friend of mine was renovating their kitchen, I would smile, that tight smile that people have when they're faking a smile. And I'd go, oh, it's so pretty. I love the white cabinets. But inside, I was seething with jealousy. And the reason why is because I believed that somebody else's happiness or success somehow was robbing me of mine. It's the opposite. Their beautiful kitchen means if I can work for it, I can have one too. Their amazing relationships means I can create it too. Their success or the business they've built means it's possible for you too. This alone, if you just do this third step, this one mindset flip, it is a complete game changer. Here's how you do it. There is unlimited success, happiness, and fulfillment in the world. You're not in competition with anyone. The only one that can rob you of the success, happiness, and fulfillment that you deserve is you and your excuses and fears and sitting around waiting to feel motivated. We're going to stop that today. Correct? Good. I'm glad you're listening because we're not doing that anymore. You're not going to wait 6 years to get started. You are going to start taking actions that align with what you want now. And when you see other people as evidence of what's possible for you, as you start seeing them not as extinguishing your light, but lighting the path that you're now walking on, holy cow, talk about throwing gasoline on that internal fire of yours. And by the way, don't you ever forget, you are a light on the path for someone else, and you don't even realize it. So think about that for a second. You are just a step or two ahead of someone else. I mean, if you've grieved the loss of a loved one, if you've changed your career, if you've survived heartache, if you've sold a family home, if you've reinvented some aspect of your life, if you've lost weight, if you're able to live with depression, if you were the first in your family to graduate from college, your life experience proves to someone else that it's possible for them too. So you better make sure that as you start chipping away at your own wishes and goals, that you hold that light up a little bit higher for everybody that's behind you. Now, these steps sound super simple. So I'm going to go through them one more time because I want to make sure you get how powerful they are. So let's go back to 52-year-old Mel. And let me explain how each one of these steps worked for me back when I was sad and lost 2 years ago. So step number 1, you make a wish. You got to consider that question. What do I want my life to look like? Now, here's the truth. I couldn't answer that question 2 years ago. When I was 52, sitting there crying in the bunk room, I had no idea. I didn't know what I wanted. I didn't even know how to fix all my problems. And that's okay. You don't have to know the answers because those will come. But I did know I didn't want to stay feeling sad. And that's all I needed to start the change. Because step 2 is, once you know one small thing, I don't want to feel so sad. I don't want to be lost on my birthday. Just take actions that align with that thing that you want. I wanted to be happier. So I just focused on simple things I could do in that day to make me feel a little better. I get it. This isn't rocket science, but it works. But somehow, when you start to apply this stuff, it does feel like rocket science because it does launch you somewhere else. So that day I exercised, I bought myself flowers, I watched some stand-up comedy specials on TV so I would laugh a little. I just forced myself to do those things, to start walking toward what I wanted, which was just to feel a little happier. And look, this stuff doesn't work overnight. It works over time. And so every day, I just woke up and I kept making myself do the things that made me feel a little better, even though I didn't feel like it. Simple things, exercising, journaling. And I kept on contemplating that question. What do I want my life to look like? And over time, day after day, brick after brick, as I added in positive forward action, aligned with feeling a little happier, and as I started to let go of things that were bringing me tension or sadness or friction, the answers started to emerge. I didn't want to travel so much for work. I didn't want to miss out on my son's high school the way I missed out on our daughter's high school experience. I wanted to get reconnected at a really deep level with my husband. I wanted to have time to see friends again and do things in the community. I didn't want to feel so damn busy and burnt out. And I didn't want to fall asleep with a to-do list on my mind and wake up every morning panic-stricken because of how much I had to get done. I wanted to simplify my life and get serious about being happier and more content in it. And as you ask yourself the question, what do you want your life to look like? Be patient. As I got clearer about what I wanted, and then I aligned my actions with that new vision, I started acting like the person I wanted to become. Simplifying means saying no. It means asking for help. And I chipped away day by day, and I started getting my mental health in order, slowed down, and I created an entirely different relationship with my husband by jumping into therapy. I also started being more present with my kids. And through all these small changes, I realized something bigger. It was time to sell the house that we had raised our kids in for 26 years outside of Boston, Massachusetts, and create a simpler life in southern Vermont. And as I started to say no and put what mattered to me first, I all of a sudden had more time to do what I really wanted, which is to launch this podcast, because I wanted to forge a deeper connection with you. Brick by brick, I laid a path with my actions, and now here I am. And if I can do it, you can do it. And that's why step number 3 is critical. Look for lights on the path. I looked for other people who had simpler business models,
who had relationships and who were doing the fun things that I wanted to do. And I just let them light the way toward the future I wanted. I kept telling myself, if they can do it, I can do it. And if you don't have anyone in your life like that, someone that lights the way for you, let me be that person. Tell yourself, if Mel Robbins can do it, then I can do it, because it's true. I'm living proof that if I can do it, you can do it. Big change starts with small wishes, like, I want to feel happier. And tiny actions lead to massive transformation over time. Psychologically speaking, those little daily moves forward that I was making, trying to just be a little bit happier, moving toward the person I really wanted to become, it changes what you believe about yourself. Because doing the small things every single day, especially when you don't feel like it, it proves that you do have a choice about what you do and how you feel. And eventually, as you do the small things that make you feel better and better and better, you will feel better and better and better. And as you see yourself taking these little actions, you start seeing yourself taking control. And the momentum, the pride, and the confidence builds inside you. That's what happened to me. And I know the same will be true for you. And I have proof that this works. So yesterday, check this out. I got an email from a woman named Danielle. And guess what she was writing me about? She was writing to tell me about a year ago, she stumbled upon, guess what video? Yeah, you guessed it. The one I made on my 52nd birthday. I mean, come on, what are the odds? I was about to start taping an episode about the same video, and now suddenly I'm getting an email from a stranger telling me, oh, by the way, Mel, I saw that video on your 52nd birthday and I followed the steps in it, and now my life has changed. What are the odds? Those are magical. And I always pay attention to that kind of stuff. So I reached out to her. I talked to her on the phone. And now I want you to listen to her read the email she sent to me yesterday. I just love this kind of stuff because it all connects. And before I play it, I want to warn you that this may be triggering for you to hear. Because when Danielle stumbled upon that 52nd birthday video of mine, she was in a way worse place than I was up in that bunk room. She was thinking of ending her life.
Your birthday saved my life. The video made on your 52nd birthday was the first Mel video I had ever seen. And it was the last day of my life, or it would have been. A couple of years previously, I had made a pact with one of my best friends that if either one of us were thinking about suicide, we would call one another. And we would talk as long as we needed. And at the end of the talk I had with him the night before, he made me promise him that I would give my life 24 more hours. Because a day can change everything, is what he said. And the next day, late afternoon, waiting for night to come, YouTube said I should watch your video. And I promised my friend 24 hours more, which I spent largely watching your videos. And I'm still here. You know, and it sounds a little bit even silly, but I remember at one point in the video when she just, she got to the point where she had laid it all out there, how she feels and what's going on, that she said, so this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go out and I'm going to buy myself some flowers. And I was like, okay, I get that. Like, happiness isn't like a goal that like once you've completed all these things in your life that are wrong with it, then you're allowed to be happy. It's something that you actually have to try to do every day. And you can't just do this one little thing and that can make today better than it was.
I mean, come on now. Don't you just love Danielle? And look, over the past year, Danielle has been slowly chipping away at creating a better life. Just like I have for these past 2 years, and just like you're going to do now that you've listened to this episode. See, doing the little things every single day that align with where you're going and who you want to become, that's the secret. It works. The bottom line is, you have the power to change your life, period. You have to act like the person you want to become before you feel like that person. And if I can do it, you can do it. Plain and simple. There are things that are locked in your heart and your mind and soul that are calling to you. Stop denying it. There are changes that you want to make. Stop ignoring those changes. The whole point of this episode is to get you to not only believe that change is possible for you, but to start taking the steps to make the change a reality. I want you to claim what you want by the end of this episode. I want you to close your eyes and envision something amazing in this next year of your life, because yes, you can change. And yes, you can take the actions that will make that change a reality. I mean, is it going to happen overnight? Of course not, but it'll change over time. And if you can make today just a little better, guess what? You can make tomorrow a little better. And if you can have a better day, then you can have a better week. And if you can have a better week, you can have a better month. And those months lead ultimately down the path to the life that you envision for yourself. You deserve to be happy. And I believe that you're listening to this episode right now with Mel Robbins because you are meant to. I mean, think you could have picked a million other episodes, but you are on this one right now with me. Why? Because you're supposed to hear this at this exact moment in your life. You needed the reminder that there is something bigger that is meant for you. You got so much amazing stuff to do with this next year of your life. You got dreams to fulfill. You got lives to change. Stop focusing your energy on the stupid crap that weighs you down. It does not matter. Your past does not matter. The things that you're worried about, it doesn't matter. I mean, who cares if they didn't read your text? Who cares if you didn't get that job you applied for? Do you know how many jobs there are out there? It's time to see the bigger picture. It's time to focus on what you want. I know, I get it. It sucks when you get the courage to ask somebody out and they say no, or you work for months trying to close a massive sale and it goes to somebody else. And it's an awful feeling to wake up and have the depression be overwhelming. And you're not going to feel like kicking ass today. You're going to feel like licking your wounds. I got it. And here's what I'm going to tell you. Have a good cry, give yourself a hug, and then dig deep and let Mel Robbins remind you of who you are. There is power inside of you to face this and to make it better. And you know it. In those moments when you feel like you just got punched in the gut, you have power within you. You have the ability to create this fresh start, to close your eyes, to envision what you want instead of surviving through what you have. On those mornings when you wake up with the weight of the world on your shoulders, wake up and get your ass out of bed. Get dressed, get yourself out the door, and do the things that make you feel slightly better. Start acting like the person you want to become instead of the person you are today. Start taking actions that align with what you want in your life. It's only when you start to act before you feel ready that this turns around. I get it. You should have landed the funding. You did deserve the job. It does blow when you don't get into your dream school and your best friend does. But you know what? That's not going to stop you from getting what you want, because you are going to pick yourself back up. You know that this is going to pass. You know that through your actions and your attitude, you can change where you're at. And you know that you can make yourself feel a little bit better no matter what you're facing. And you can't tell me otherwise. Every single day when you wake up, the clock resets, the past expires, and the future, it is yours to create. There is an open road. There is a blank page. There is a wish that you need to turn into a reality. Today is a gift, and you get to decide what you're going to do with that gift. Is it one day or day one? You decide. You decide with the actions you take today. You can change. And today is the day to prove it to yourself. So go do it. This is not a thinking podcast. How the hell does something so simple work, Mel? I mean, come on, for real? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Well, let me get you into action, okay? Because when you try this thing, you're going to experience the change yourself. One of the reasons why
this is so powerful is because your brain has one job, and that is to keep you alive, which means your brain will resist any kind of new change you want to make. And the thing I'm going to have you do is going to make you feel this resistance. And it's important for you to realize that this is part of your wiring. You're never going to not have to push yourself to do things when you don't feel like it. Like, this is just a fact of life. In fact, one of the hardest things for us all to do is to start something new. And there's a scientific reason why. The reason why is because pushing yourself to do something, whether it's pushing yourself to get to the gym, or pushing yourself to change a habit, or pushing yourself to stay sober, or pushing yourself to speak up more, or pushing yourself to express your boundaries, right? Or make the cold calls that are going to make you more money. All of that requires you to go from doing one thing, like scrolling on your phone or sitting on the couch, to doing something different. You have to summon something called activation energy. You have to activate the movement inside of you. One of the coolest things about why the 5-second rule works is the counting itself is an action. So it's almost like the little Trojan horse. So you're sitting there on the couch. You know you need to go for a run, but it's raining and it's cold and you don't feel like it. You blew it off this morning. You've already made yourself wrong. It's now 3 o'clock in the afternoon. You can think of a million things that you would rather do than going for a run. You now know the secret. The secret is motivation is garbage. No one's coming to push your ass off that couch. This is up to you. The second you're sitting there marinating in your excuses and your sad sack, whatever, feeling low energy. I get it. I'm there every day at 3 o'clock, right there with you, not feeling like it. The second you start counting backwards, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, you've made the decision to get off that couch and go exercise, even though you don't feel like it. The second you hit 1, get up off the couch. Start walking toward your closet. Change into your running shoes. Change into your tights, whatever. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, walk out the door. That is how you summon the activation energy to start. And starting's the hardest part, right? So that's why this works. In addition to the physiology, in addition to the brain science, in addition to everything else, from a real common sense point of view, you are starting with the counting. And so I want to leave you in motion. I don't want you to just learn about this thing, because it doesn't work if you think about it. You got to use the tool. And once you use it, you're going to be able to teach it to anybody in your life that's struggling because they're waiting to feel motivated. You can give it to anybody once you try it. And so what's the best way to get you moving? I want you to do a 5-day wake-up challenge with me, okay? I know you're already groaning. I can literally hear it through my earphones over there. I don't want to wake up. Good. Okay. And for those of you that can just spring out of bed, first of all, you're a weirdo. And the way that we're going to make this work for you is set your alarm. If you're the kind of person that just, I just naturally wake up. I just spring out of bed. You're going to set your alarm 30 minutes earlier, because I want to manufacture the resistance that you are going to push through with the 5-second rule. For the rest of us who just hate getting out of bed, here's what you're going to do. Tonight, set your alarm, okay? Tomorrow morning, when the alarm goes off, you're immediately going to feel yourself thinking about getting out of bed. You're immediately going to want to stay in bed. We all do. I mean, who wants to get out of bed? It's cozy, it's warm, it's yummy in there, you know, especially if you're sleeping with your loved one or your fur babies, okay? I get it. That is me every single morning. When that alarm goes off, you're going to notice this moment of hesitation, because you're not going to want to use the 5-second rule. Good. That's that resistance. That's the fact that activation energy is now required. That's your brain going, but I don't want to change. And then you're going to count 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, throw those sheets off, stand up. You're going to hate this. Start walking towards the bathroom. By the time you get to the bathroom, you're good. So that's what you're going to do for 5 mornings in a row. Alarm goes off. Count backwards, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The second you hit 1, the sheets are off, and you stand up and start walking toward the bathroom. You're going to hate it. You're not going to feel like doing it. If you can push through the resistance that you feel every morning about getting up when the alarm rings, you can push through the resistance everywhere in your life. You are building a muscle of courage, of confidence, of action. You are building the skill of being able to take action when you don't feel like it. And that skill will pay you dividends for the rest of your life. Now, I'd like to support you in this Wake Up Challenge. And let me support you. And here's how you can let me support you. Go to melrobbins.com/wakeup. WAKEUP. One word. Wake up. I don't think it's one word in real life, or maybe it is, but on the website, it's melrobbins.com/wakeup. If you, the instructions for the Wake Up Challenge will be there in case you want to share them with somebody else. And more importantly, if you share your email with me, don't worry, I'm not going to put you in some, I'm not going to sell your name to anybody. I just want to support you. I will send you a really fun, encouraging email every single day that you're in this challenge for 5 days, because I really want you to try this. And I want you to try this because, the 5-second rule, I'm so passionate about it, not because of my experience. I'm passionate about it because of the experience of millions of people around the world who have used the 5-second rule first to get out of bed and then to go on to make amazing, courageous, incredible changes in their life. And the same is going to be true for you. But it's only true if you're willing to push yourself. And here's the interesting thing about this challenge. Notice you don't feel like doing the Wake Up Challenge. What, are you waiting to feel motivated to do it? I mean, isn't that the whole point of what we've been talking about? In order to get what you want, you got to push yourself to act before you're ready, before you feel like it. I mean, what's the worst thing that could happen? That you try it for 5 days and then you go back to hitting the snooze button? I think something incredible will happen when you place a bet on yourself, when you allow me to support you by sending you these emails. I believe that if you were to practice pushing through the resistance 5 mornings in a row, and it sounds simple, it is not easy. I think you would be surprised by how good you feel about yourself and the ripple effect that it creates in your life. That's what I believe is going to happen, and I can't wait to support you in it. You are one decision away from a different life, a better life. And yes, it's not going to change overnight. It changes through those decisions that you're making that add up over time. I hope you find the courage to make the decision that's going to change your life today. I'm asking you to 54321, sign up for that Wake Up Challenge. melrobbins.com/wakeup, and let me support you. When you start making courageous decisions, when you start pushing yourself forward, when you start going for bigger things, when you stop thinking and you start doing, are you going to fail? Probably. Will you mess up? I sure do. That's okay. I want you to just keep waking up every single morning, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and show up for yourself again. Because it's what you do after you fail. It's what you do in those moments when you don't feel like it. It's those moments when you push yourself that matters most. Do not waste another day of your life waiting, wishing, or hoping motivation comes. All the things you desire are right in front of you. They're waiting for you to push through all of that resistance and self-doubt and walk toward what you want. No matter how old you are or what's happened in your life, you can achieve the life you want. I'm sorry, you don't have to believe it. I've got enough confidence in this fact to believe for you until you catch up. I have way too much evidence, having seen the lives of millions of people change through these small decisions, to know that yes, you can change your life too. You have dreams to fulfill. You've got a world to change. You've got a life to live. So I want you to get your butt out there and 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go do it. I will see you in the Wake Up Challenge. I will see you in the next episode. And I am so excited to be kicking off this whole new chapter of my life with you. Thank you for being here. And more importantly, thank you for trying this, because thinking about this tool is not going to change your life. Motivation is garbage. No one's coming, but you got everything inside you that you need. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go do it.